welcome to Angels in the Glen. The Daniel 11 study is a summary of the history of the world from the Medo-Persian Empire all the way down to the second return of Christ. And we're going to see what happens to literal, physical, geographic ancient Israel and how they interact with successive world kingdoms. Then we'll see the cross of Christ right in the center of the chapter, and then thereafter we'll see spiritual Israel, or the church, and what happens to them all the way to the second coming of Christ. Now, the key to understanding Daniel chapter 11 is this, is Gabriel comes back and visits Daniel and says, I'm going to explain to you the vision of the 2300 evenings and mornings. Now, if you've never heard that, hold with me here. You might say, wasn't the 2300 evenings and mornings back in Daniel chapter 8? Yes, but Gabriel is saying, I'm going to explain this to you now. Look on the screen and take a look at Daniel 10:14. This is the setup for Daniel 11. Now I have come to give you an understanding of what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision pertains to days yet future. That word vision is kadzon. That's the first vision that Daniel sees. It's about the 2300 evenings and mornings. Because if you've been following along with us in Daniel 8, 9, 10, 11, and thereafter, you'll see that Daniel sees two visions. Look at Daniel chapter 8, verse 15. The Hebrew has two words for vision. Kadzon and mare. They both mean the same thing, revelation sight vision or appearance sight vision, and this is the distinction to understand Daniel 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Look at verse 15. When I, Daniel, had seen the vision, that word vision in red, kadzon, I sought to understand it. And behold, standing before me was one who looked, that's mare, like a man. All right, those are the two visions. Verse 16, Gabriel is given instruction to give Daniel an understanding of the mare, right there on the screen. Right? Verse 17 reassures Daniel, he says, Son of man, understand that the kadzon pertains to the time of the end. Right? That's the key right there. On the screen, the kadzon and the mare are related. They both have the same starting point, but they have different ending points. They're related, and it'll demonstrate that we're living in the very end of time. Now, what we're going to do in Daniel chapter 11 is we'll do a quick review of Daniel chapter 2. There on the screen you see the metal man image, the stone followed by the mountain. That's successive world kingdoms followed by Jesus Christ, then God's kingdom eternally. It'll never end. We compare it with Daniel 7, successive world kingdoms, then heavenly man, heavenly court, son of man with an everlasting dominion, followed by Daniel 8. Now this is the kadzon, all right? The mare is buried in there with it. 2300 evenings and mornings, then the holy place is restored. We'll cover Daniel 11 right there, leading all the way down to the very end of time, which is the last 6 verses, 40 to 45, followed by the final judgment for all of mankind. Now, what we're going to do is something slightly different in this particular lesson. We're going to flip this Daniel 11 timescale on its side. There on the screen, you see Daniel 11, verses 1 through 45. We're going to overlay the mare and the kadzon, all right? Daniel 11 is not hard to understand if you have this framework. And what Gabriel's going to do is he's going to explain the kadzon to him. Now, if he explains the kadzon to him, that means he's going to explain the mare. And this will lead us all the way up to the very end of time, verses 40 to 45, and then the final judgment for all mankind. To watch this complete lesson, go to angelsintheglen.org. That's angelsintheglen.org. We've got study guides for you. But remember, this is not just one lesson. This is a series of lessons to prepare God's people to understand the events that must take place before Christ returns. Because God wants his people to understand the first angel's message, the second angel's message, the third angel's message, culminating in the mark of the beast struggle, so that we can know exactly what must take place. Now, it's not a time to fear, it's a time to be ready, and God wants his people ready. I hope you'll join us.